Greetings, prisoners. My name is Kamikaze, and Rundown 8 dropped last month, which means GTFO is essentially finished. It's testament to the power of early access when used correctly, and it's a damn fine game. It's also very hard, notoriously hard. And you might be new at the game and thinking, what on earth is going on? What is a rundown? Why did my friend just violently coom all over the place? Why do these guys have spaghetti in their heads? Well, settle down, and I'll tell you everything you need to know in this beginner's guide to GTFO.
Start charging now. Release in 3, 2, 1. Comma.
The first tip happens before you even buy the game. You need to ask yourself, is this the game for me? GTFO is unapologetically a very niche game. It is a difficult, methodical co-op shooter with an emphasis on stealth and teamwork. It's almost as much a strategy game as it is a shooter. You can't run and gun your way through this one. You will get absolutely demolished. It's also not a silly game like Lethal Company. It is a janky co-op game that you play with friends, so silly moments will definitely happen. But it doesn't go out of its way to breed those moments. Instead, it goes out of its way to breed fear, tension, and mistrust. Friends are also required, as I mentioned. You can't realistically solo the game. The bots suck, and while there is matchmaking and a Discord community, I'll be honest, the community of this game can be kind of toxic and gatekeepy at times, so friends are best. So, you've decided, yes, I like dying, and you've rounded up some equally masochistic friends. This is where you are immediately hit with information overload. What are all of these rundown things? Okay, think of the game like Super Mario Brothers. Mario is broken down into usually 8 worlds, which contain a set of levels, and you have to complete each level to get to the next world. GTFO is that, but just laid out poorly. Each rundown is essentially a world that contains a set of expeditions, aka levels. They'll have their own little story that feed into the grander narrative. Basically, just start at Rundown 1, Expedition 1, and carry on from there. Once you select an expedition, you are sent to what is the most important part of the entire game, the loadout screen. You've got guns, more guns, melee weapons, tools, and consumables. So let's start at the top here. For main gun, you have lots of options: rifles, pistols, machine guns galore. Main weapon is basically your all-round general-purpose weapon. It's mostly personal preference. They do all have their obvious strengths and weaknesses, but it's kind of whatever you want. As opposed to most games where your secondary weapon is, the weaker one, your backup, special weapon in GTFO is a bit different. These are very powerful, but tend to have also limited ammo capacity. And when you need which ones is something you kind of have to play around with. Are you on a level with lots of little guys? Maybe an SMG or an auto shotgun. Lots of big guys? Consider this a big-ass sniper rifle that can kill them in like 2 hits. I would recommend going into your first try of each level with a fairly balanced loadout, and then if you're struggling, you can switch it up to specialize in whatever is murdering you the hardest. I typically like a balanced loadout myself, so say if I'm bringing a shotgun for my special, then I'll go for a DMR for my primary. Next up is the tool slot. Meet your new best friend, the bio tracker. These are all great and have their uses, but you are going to have a bio tracker always. There's technically a few levels where it's not required, but if you're going to any mission blind, bring a bio tracker. In a slow strategic game, you have to plan your actions carefully. Information is king. For the other slots on your team, though, you've got some options. The Goom Blaster, the Mine Deployer, and a whole suite of sentry guns. These are all pretty nice in their own way. The Cum Gun allows you to reinforce doors. The Mine Deployer is exactly what you think it is. And there are also 4 different sentry guns. There's the Burst Sentry, Shotgun Sentry, Sniper Sentry, and the Hell Sentry. Burst Sentry shoots fast bursts that do decent damage and stagger. It's a good all-around option. The Shotgun and Sniper Sentry are exactly what you think they are. And the Hell Sentry is a long-range, full-auto sentry that fires Hell rounds. What are Hell rounds? Piercing rounds. You'll notice there's a bunch of different weapons that have, they're Hell weapons. And that means when you shoot stuff, the rounds penetrate and will, carry on and hit more stuff behind your initial target. This is great. Just make sure you keep track of your teammates. This is where I should probably mention that the game has friendly fire. a lot of friendly fire. My god. And sentry guns can hit you too. They don't target you specifically, but if you do happen to stand between them and their desired target, good luck. Anyway, feel free to mix and match between these 3 options for the 3 team slots that aren't a bio tracker. Melee weapons are next, and while it looks like there's a lot of options, most of them are just skins. The only thing that actually matters is the category of weapon. Sledgehammer, spear, bat, and knife. Sledgehammers are predictably big, slow, and powerful. Spears do comparable damage, but they're slower and have much better range. Bats and knives are both smaller and much faster, although they don't hit as hard. Knives are pretty good in open combat, but in general, if you're new, I recommend sticking with either a sledgehammer or a spear to guarantee those stealth one-shots. And then these last thoughts are boosters. They're one-time consumables you can apply to yourself each mission. You find them scattered as pickups throughout other missions, so you won't have any, but I should just mention them here anyway. So, you select your expedition, picked your loadout, and now it's time for everyone's favorite, hyperventilating simulator. So, you step out of your pod, you're in-game, and it's time to be very careful. Enemies can and will spawn basically right next to you, so time to whip out that bio tracker, buddy. Now, I don't want to spoil the game itself, so from here, I'll just give some general tips. First up is to take it slow. I know I've already said this, but I really want to emphasize it. There's no time limit in this game. You can sneak around your heart's content, plan your moves, scout for bad guys, and use stealth to clear out as many enemies as you can. Speaking of enemies, this is a sleeper. The basic enemy you'll find all over the place. They're called sleepers because, I mean, they're asleep. What more do you want me to say? They're blind, for rather obvious reasons, and they react to loud noises. Occasionally, though, you'll see them do this. And when they start, you stop. They're echolocating when they do this. So if you're moving, don't be. They also really hate flashlights, so make sure you turn those off. The usual tactic is to move in between echolocations, get up close, and take them out with a well-placed melee swing. Why not your gun? Well, first, guns are loud. Second, one of the most important things in this game is resource management. Ammo is very scarce, and so are health kits. Add to this the fact that there are forced combat sections, like alarm doors and various objectives who will very rudely wake up all of these sleepers. And they're not pleased about it. You need your health and ammo for those sections, so don't waste it on the guys that you can avoid or stealth kill. This is also where a lot of the teamwork comes in. These enemies can be placed very close together, so you're going to have to coordinate. Who's got which enemy? When are we sneaking? When are we swinging?
Okay, charge up now. 3, 2, 1, go.
Sharing is also very important. Again, health and ammo are rare, so make sure you give them out to who needs them. You're 3,000 feet underground with a bunch of crazy penis head havers trying to lick you to death. Alright, this is not the time to be selfish. There are, of course, other enemy types. Scouts, spaghetti men, you might say, who will call a big horde of enemies to them if you succumb to the temptation of that pasta-y goodness.
Ideal now.
Shadows, who are invisible unless placed in direct light, and even your dad. There are many more later, but I'll leave you to discover those on your own. Teehee. It's very important to explore in this game as well. The missions are pretty big and expansive, often with lots of optional areas, and these areas can have sweet, sweet loot, so make sure you don't ignore any potential hiding spots. And speaking of exploring, where am I supposed to go? You've probably noticed very quickly there are no objective markers. Just a vague, find this object text in the top left. Well, thankfully, we have the power of technology on your side. These are terminals. They're scattered throughout the map and will guide you on your way. You can ping whatever item you're looking for. If you're not in the zone with that item, it will tell you what zone you need to go to. And if you are in that zone, it will narrow it down to the specific room you need to be searching. The zone and room names are listed on your map, and also wieners. Anybody can draw on the map, so there's usually wieners on there. Sometimes, however, There will be big locked doors between you and the zone you need to get to. How rude, I know. Some will require a keycard, but some will also have a very fun little mini-game you have to play to unlock them. Now, the mini-game is quite simple. You just stand in the circles. Well, that's not too hard. Sometimes they'll split into little circles.
Everybody in the circle.
And each of your teammates will have to stand in a separate one. Fun! So, what's the catch? Well, while all of the sleepers are just trying to take their nap, this jerk door will start blasting an alarm at full volume. And it will only stop once you have finished the minigame. So, I recommend you prepare well.
Everybody spread out.
That's a big fucking guy.
So, there you have it. You are ready. I have bestowed upon you the basic knowledge you need to get started. You will die, and that's okay. That's part of the fun, honestly, is figuring it out. It's a challenge. So, loadouts, how enemies behave, where you need to go, and most importantly, don't get tempted by that sweet, sweet spaghetti. Go forth and try to free yourself from this hellhole. If you learned something or enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, and good luck. You're gonna need it.